June 6, 1944, D-Day is hanging by a thread. As British forces push inland from the beaches, a single German formation, 21st Panzer Division, launches a sudden, violent counterattack. Tanks surge toward the gap between Sword and Juno, aiming to split the Allied line in two. If they reach the coast, the invasion could collapse, beaches isolated, forces cut off, and the entire operation thrown into chaos. For a few critical hours, the fate of D-Day hangs in the balance. At roughly 12 a.m., U.S. and British forces start to drop airborne pathfinders to mark positions for soon-to-be arriving paratroopers. Starting at roughly 2 a.m., the U.S. 101st Airborne and the 82nd Airborne drop over the Consolidation Peninsula. Due to high winds and flak, they are scattered over a wide area. At the same time, the British 6th Airborne Division has more luck and drops close to its major objectives near the Pegasus Bridge. At roughly 3:30 to 4:30 in the morning, Task Force U, O, G, J, and S arrive between 10 and 20 kilometers off the Normandy coast. These task forces carry the soldiers that will be assaulting the beaches very soon, and they also have plentiful naval artillery for assistance for the soldiers as needed. Just as an example of what I'm talking about, Task Force U will be the naval forces required to assault Utah Beach. Task Force O will be the naval forces required for assaulting Omaha Beach, etc. Now I'm going to do a quick explanation of the units that will be assaulting the beaches very soon. In the western sector, you have the American forces under the 1st U.S. Army, commanded by Omar Bradley. In the American sector, you have the 4th Infantry Division that will be assaulting Utah Beach, and the U.S. 29th and 1st Infantry Divisions that will be assaulting Omaha Beach. There is also several battalions of U.S. Army Rangers that will be assaulting elevated German positions such as Pointe du Hoc and trying to take out their naval artillery there. Now jumping to the British forces in the eastern sector, commanded by Miles Dempsey in the British 2nd Army, you have the British 50th Division that will be attacking Gold Beach, the Canadian 3rd Infantry Division that will be attacking Juno Beach, and the British 3rd Infantry Division that will be attacking Sword Beach. All ground forces involved in D-Day are commanded by the 21st Army Group, which is ably commanded by Bernard Montgomery. Now let's zoom in to the American beaches. At roughly 6:30 in the morning, the U.S. divisions hit the beaches. U.S. soldiers on Utah Beach face only light resistance, and by roughly 9 a.m. they are starting to filter off the beaches in small groups. Omaha Beach is an entirely different story altogether. As soon as they hit the beaches, the 1st and 29th Infantry Divisions are immediately met with extremely heavy machine gun fire from elevated defensive positions, and they are also attacked by mortars and artillery. Omaha Beach for the next several hours is absolute carnage and where a large percentage of Allied casualties happen on D-Day. A battalion of U.S. Rangers land at Pointe du Hoc and try to take out multiple German artillery batteries. Now transitioning to the British sector, the timetable for the landings in this sector is different than the American sector. The British and Canadian forces start landing between 7 and 7:30 a.m. British soldiers land at Sword and Gold Beaches with the 50th and 3rd British Infantry Divisions. They take light casualties and by 9 a.m. are moving inland from their respective beaches. At the same time, the Canadian 3rd Infantry Division lands at Juno Beach. The Canadians have a tougher time than the British, and they take heavier casualties, but by 9 a.m. they have started to move inland from their beach as well. Now transitioning back to the American sector, U.S. soldiers on Omaha Beach continue to take heavy losses. U.S. Army Commander Omar Bradley nearly calls off further assault waves due to the extremely high losses suffered on Omaha Beach. He does not make that order, however, as by 11:30 a.m., multiple reports reach him of small groupings of U.S. soldiers destroying German defensive positions and moving behind the defenses on Omaha Beach and starting to filter further inland. By 10:30 a.m., Utah Beach is mostly clear of German defenders, and the 4th Infantry Division starts to move inland to link up with the airborne troops. Now returning to the British sector, all 3 divisions in this sector are starting to move further inland. Elements of the British 3rd Infantry Division and the 6th Airborne Division have linked up and started to form a continual front line. Around 11:30 a.m., order goes out to the 21st Panzer Division to move west of Caen and try to blunt the Allied advance towards Caen. As the beaches start to link up, let's zoom out and get a better picture of the Norman battle space. In the western sector, the 4th Infantry Division starts to link up with the isolated pockets of the 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions. Omaha Beach is by now mostly clear of German defenders. There are still small pockets of Germans in strong defensive positions, but the majority of the 1st and 29th Divisions have moved further inland. As the forces in the eastern sector continue to advance further inland, the German 21st Panzer Division arrives west of Caen. Several Panzer battle groups are able to penetrate the gap between the Canadian 3rd Infantry and the British 3rd Infantry Division and are starting to push towards the coast. All German defenders by roughly 3 p.m. on Omaha Beach are finally neutralized, and the beach is given the all clear. U.S. reinforcements start arriving on Omaha and Utah beaches, and all beachheads start to receive supplies and more combat power to assist in further driving inland. Around 4:30 to 5 p.m., elements of the German 21st Panzer Division find multiple gaps in between the 3rd British and the 3rd Canadian Infantry Division and start to push further towards the coast. American forces in the western sector continue to make incremental advances, but the real danger is in the eastern sector. Around 10 to 15 Panzer tanks reach the coast between the British 3rd and the Canadian 3rd Infantry Division, but they are too few in number to make much of an impact on the landing areas. US and British sectors are close to linking up their respective beachheads, but stubborn continual resistance by the German 352nd Division stops them linking up today. Around 9 p.m., the order goes out, the 21st Panzer Division pulls back its tanks that had advanced to the Normandy coast. While the German panzer attack failed to push the British forces into the sea, it did stop the British forces from reaching and taking the city of Caen, so it can be somewhat of a tactical German victory. By 10 p.m., major combat operations have stopped and combat has died down across the front line. D-Day really was the longest day. As June 6th begins to come to a close, the casualty reports from the day come into all respective headquarters. For the Allies, they have accumulated 4,414 dead today and around 10,000 total battle casualties, more than half of them being Americans on Omaha Beach. Germans have suffered roughly 4,000 dead and between 8 and 10,000 battle casualties total. Overall, D-Day was a massive Allied strategic success. Around 160,000 Allied forces are now firmly ashore in Hitler's Fortress Europe, and another major front has been opened, which the Germans at this point in the war can ill afford. Thanks for watching my D-Day video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like and subscribe, and comment for more content like this.